Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 21st day of June 2023. It is the summer solstice today, beginning of the longest days of the year, summer solstice, the most sunlight, about 14 hours of sunlight you get. Now, from this point, next couple of days, it'll stay like that, and then it'll start going back the other way so that we're going less sunlight. But today is the first day of the summer solstice. Happy summer solstice. I hope you're all doing well today. Blessings upon you and your family. I hope you and your family are doing well. That in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, all your needs are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are trying to save lives. And those also pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks clean and disease-free. And those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, recover, and deliver the unfortunate victims who are teenagers and children of child molestation and pedophilia. The people that are victims also of pornography and child pornography, prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on those that profit from these things. Double curses on those perverts who create the demand of which others provide the supply. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children, mostly children, homeless in the United States, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Well, Knicks Nation, I want to tell you, decisions have been made. We're going to see, or those decisions will be revealed starting today. Okay, today, Wednesday, the 21st of June, 2023. For today, Kristaps Porzingis will make a decision as to whether he's going to opt in or opt out. If he's going to be traded, the wheels are already starting between today and tomorrow. On the trade day, you're going to see movement there. Now, the Knicks have made decisions concerning the four players I told you they were going to have to make decisions about. That is Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, and Emmanuel Quickley. There's an outside piece, aside from those in the rotation. Of those in the rotation, and that's Hartenstein. Hartenstein's an expiring deal, a solid backup, and if you could trade him and keep Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks are going to do that. And so we're going to find out about that also very shortly. There are two players on the Knicks that are not in the rotation that are surely not going to be here, definitely long after July, not too long after July 1st, if not before. One is Derrick Rose, and the other is Evan Fournier. Derrick Rose is an expiring $15.5 million contract, and Evan Fournier is $18.8 million in his last season. A good shooter, somebody that another team, a playoff team, might be able to use in their rotation as a shooter. So those two will be off the books of the Knicks, and that money is going to be used to make deals with two of these other four players. Two of them, not more than two. A lot of you guys keep bringing up scenarios with 3 or 4 of them are dealt. That's ridiculous. These four are the cornerstones of the Knicks, along with Mitchell Robinson. They're the cornerstone of what's going on. So 2 of them are cornerstones because they're starters. 2 of them are cornerstones because of their upside. And one of them is a cornerstone because he's a solid, known vet. For example, Julius Randle is All-NBA, All-Star. He is what he is. Okay? He's not going to get much better. He is pretty good right now, really good. But he has his quirks. And so he's the established vet. He's also the largest salary of the 4. And so if you're going to make a move for a star or a superstar or somebody that's going to help the Knicks move forward, which we've talked about, you're going to need a large salary involved. Julius Randle represents at $28 million that large salary plus the 15% trade kicker. So he represents a $30 million, for all practical purposes, salary that you can move and get a player of equal or better value. Then, of course, there's the upside of Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickley. Both of these, and I'm going to put in the description box, I've done 4 videos since Obi was drafted about Obi and the coming dilemma that the Knicks were going to have with him. seeing that he is a starter and he's playing a backup role and he's playing limited minutes. Now, a lot of people, foolishly want to blame Tom Thibodeau for this. This is foolish. Tom Thibodeau is starting Julius Randle because he's a workhorse, because you could play him 77 games, because you could play him 32, 35 minutes a game, because he's pretty much indestructible. That's why Tom Thibodeau plays him. Not only that, he's a veteran. He's all NBA. Tibbs gives him carte blanche as to say how many minutes he wants to play. Julius wants to stay in the game. That's how it works. You might not like it, but it is what it is. So that leaves Obi out in the cold. Some people ask foolishly, why did the Knicks draft Obi? They did Obi wrong. No, they did not. Would you draft if you weren't sure if your power forward that you have signed is going to stay on your team? Wouldn't you draft one if a really good one was available? And then that power forward surprised you that you didn't draft. He had an all-NBA season. You would keep the other one just to make sure, as insurance. That's called intelligence. That's what that is. And that's what the Knicks did. So they hung on to Obi because he's talented. He's a starter, and he's just starting, and he was in his rookie deal. Of course they would hang on to him because they want to see what's going to happen with Julius Randle. And this is one of the decisions we're going to find out about this week. If they have decided they're going to ride with Randle, Obi's going to be traded. Okay? If they decided they're going to get something for Randle, Obi's staying. One of them is leaving, not both of them. One of them is off the Knicks. One of them will not be on the Knicks come training camp. One of them will not. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now, there was this Steve Papa, or whatever his name is, from Newsday saying Obi. Of course, the timing is incorrect, isn't it? So here we are, the week of the draft, and then this news come out. Well, Obi wanted to be traded at the trade deadline. Why didn't you say that earlier? Well, anyway, that always causes, that's what I'm saying. Some people, I don't listen too much too. But I haven't heard anything from Shams, from Woj, or from Ian Begley about it. But again, my belief is one of these two guys are going to be traded. The decision has already been made. A deal is in place. We just don't know about it yet. Okay, so we're going to find out between today and tomorrow. Okay, so the likelihood is they've been showing the Knicks, that is, have been showing the propensity to roll with Randle. I don't want to hear from all y'all talking about how good Obi is and how bad Randle is and why we need trailer. Believe me, we went through it ad nauseum. We already know it. But the Knicks management is going to make a decision, and their propensity has generally been to keep Julius. Okay, that's been, and now he's been all NBA twice in the last 3 years. And twice in 4 seasons. I don't know. I think he probably stays. Okay, he probably stays, and Obi probably gets moved. We'll talk about the possible teams in a minute, but there's a multitude of teams that would want Obi Toppin and that would have him starting. RJ represents both. He represents upside and a salary because he's about $24-25 million a year starting this year. So he represents upside and he represents salary. RJ, though, cannot be dealt with that $25 million until after July 1st. So he's not going to be dealt tonight. It's guaranteed. He's going to be here. Okay? He's not going nowhere. If he is traded, it'll be after July 1st. But draft night moves can involve Obi Toppin or Emmanuel Quickley. Okay? So Emmanuel Quickley, of course, represents upside. He also wants to start. He has stated it. He has said it. I want to start. I don't want to be known as just a good sixth man. He wants to start. Now, the Knicks would have to offer him, and they will, a substantial extension. Whether he takes it or not, whether he wants it or not, we're going to find out. Okay, we're going to find out. I am feeling that he's in the valley of decision. That is IQ, because there is no way they would wait to offer him the extension. They would already have offered it to him. But it's not publicized yet if they have. Okay, so we don't know. So there's a valid decision going on. If they made it and it's not publicized, meaning Emmanuel Quickley hasn't decided whether he wants to sign it. If they haven't made it, maybe they're thinking about trading Emmanuel Quickley. But something should have happened already, or some word should have got out on Emmanuel Quickley. So that's a trade possibility. Okay, again, there's a number of teams he could start for. Okay, so the only one that I can tell you right now is not going to be traded before July 1st, because of his contract, is RJ Barrett. He goes into this new contract starting July 1st. So after that, they can make moves. And they might, they might make moves. But as of today, June 21st, and for the next 10 days, RJ is going to be a Knick, at least. Okay? So we could take that off the table. That leaves the other three guys and Hartenstein as possible trade chips. Okay? Hartenstein would be a filler. Okay? Especially if they brought in a Kristaps Porzingis. Hartenstein would be a filler going back to Washington. And some of y'all again argue, well, Washington's not going to take that. Washington don't have no leverage. Okay? KP got the leverage. And therefore, if he wants to come to New York got the leverage. Okay? They just got to make the salary. Look what they got for Bradley Beal. Okay? They want draft capital and young players. That's what they want. Draft capital and young players and expiring contracts. That's what Washington wants right now. Because they rebuilt. All right? So they wouldn't necessarily be thinking they're going to get Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson's a $60 million dude, which is cheap enough to be on a contender, which he is, but maybe too expensive on a rebuilding team. Okay, like Washington would be looking at. Daniel Gafford, who is on like a rookie style deal, that's who they want to start with. All right. So anyway, in the 1 year of $8 million for Hartenstein, that's the kind of thing they'd be looking for. All right. So they're not looking for a long-term deal. All right. So with that in mind, Obi Toppin, Brooklyn would want Obi Toppin. He could start at the 4, okay, across from Mikal Bridges, and bring Cam Johnson off the bench, which is what Cam Johnson has been doing most of his career. He could start for Atlanta. Atlanta wants to get rid of John Collins. They want to move John Collins, a $90 million player. They exchange him for a $6 million player, and then let this $6 million player prove itself over a year. That's possible also. What they would give, I'm not even telling y'all what they would give for us. I'm telling y'all teams. So I'm trying to tell you teams that would be interested. I don't know what the deal would be. Miami have been looking for a power forward for a minute. They had Kevin Love, but he's at the end of his career. And he's a savvy vet, but they could need a young power forward. Again, a $6 million power forward would be Obi Toppin. Indiana, of course, has already shown interest in Obi Toppin. They want Obi Toppin. That's another team. The Wizards, of course, $6 million again. We come back to a young power forward that they could use to start their rebuild. Hornets, imagine Obi Toppin running the floor with LaMelo Ball. Detroit, imagine Obi Toppin running the floor with Cade Cunningham. Then, of course, in the Western Conference, the Clippers would use him. A cheap deal that can start on a playoff team. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, Portland Trailblazers, the Houston Rockets, and the Spurs. These are all teams that Obi would not only play, he would start. Okay? Randle, Atlanta, again, if they want to make a move and try to get a vet in there for John Collins, somebody that could help them move to the next level in their view, that would be Randle. Miami, of course, needs a power forward. Again, Randle. Randle for the Hornets. Again, Randle running with LaMelo Ball, and then you got Gordon Hayward on the other side. Okay, you got something going there. The Clippers, because they're a playoff team, Randle's a proven vet. They'd have to move a large contract to get that to happen, but that's a team that would be interested. Of course, Minnesota with Karl-Anthony Towns, of course. Then, of course, you got OKC. The reason I mentioned OKC twice is because OKC is at the point right now where they're ready to leave the bottom. They're ready to be perennial right now threats for the 8th seed and the play-in. Okay, they almost made it this past season. So they're looking to move up a little bit. They're not looking to tank. They're looking to try to win. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted a vet like a Randle to come in there and move them to their next level or help them along with Chet Holmgren. You got SGA. Of course, you got a nice young crew. It's time for them to get that veteran piece. Pels, of course, Randle's been there. If they were going to trade Zion, Randle would be a good replacement. Of course, the Mavericks are always looking for talent, period. They got Kyrie, they got Luka. They would be looking for a guy to step in, a third guy for third run, the big three, okay? Portland, of course, depending on if they're going to rebuild or not rebuild. If they're going to not rebuild, then they're going to have Dame Dollar. They're looking to trade Anthony Simons, and they're looking to bring in another guy along the front line. Here he is. Then you got, of course, No, that's it. That's pretty much it for Randle. As far as IQ, here's a list of teams that I feel IQ would be interested, very interested in Emmanuel quickly. Brooklyn, again, he could start for them. He could start for Miami. He could start for Chicago. He could start for Toronto. He could start for the Wizards. He could start for the Suns. He could start for the Clippers. He could start for the Lakers. He could start for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He could start for the Pelicans. He could start for the Jazz. He could start for Houston. He could start for San Antonio. There's a lot here. And some of these teams have very valuable draft capital. Okay. And I'm not saying the Knicks would want the draft capital for themselves, although they might, but I doubt that. They'd want to parlay that draft capital into a star player. Okay. So that's why, this is going to be a very interesting scenario. So again, and I mentioned this again, Hartenstein is that guy that if you're bringing in a power forward, like a Kristaps Porzingis, or a guy can play the five. Kristaps is really the only, not really, but he's one of the few scenarios that Hartenstein would be traded, because if Kristaps Porzingis 36 million is coming to the Knicks, you need to send out in that vicinity of 36, somewhere in that vicinity, 32, 36, something like that. So you're going to send out Fournier, right? You're going to send out Derrick Rose, that's 34. Okay, and then you're going to send out IQ. IQ is 4, so that's 38. That might do it, unless they were going to send out Hartenstein's 9 million. See, so that's the only reason. But if you brought in KP, you're going to have 3-4 centers. You're not going to need 4. So Hartenstein goes out. If you're talking about KP, if you're talking about Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Jericho Sims, Hartenstein is the guy that leaves, not the other two. Sims is too cheap. Mitch Rob is too valuable and too much of a value, period. So that's why Hartenstein would be the guy to go in that scenario. Similar scenario if they were making a deal, which is, again, yesterday I told you, the Zion Williamson, I put that at 35%. I'm being conservative too. It could be much less. But I'm putting that at 35% for that game. There's a 65% chance that does not get done. Okay, but not to the Knicks. But if that was to get done, they would need an extra salary to go with. It would probably be a Randle salary. But they, New Orleans would want to save money. They might want Obi, but they're going to need extra salary to make this happen. So it would probably be Hartenstein and Obi, something like that. But it's not that. Those are the only real two scenarios I see where that might happen. Everything else, Hartenstein is safe, because everything else is dealing around a wing or a 4, which means if they're trading Randle, which we still don't know yet. Like I said, I put the odds high that they keep Randle, but we're going to find out. Randle's contract is very valuable. It's a really good deal. It's low enough so that a team could fit it under their luxury tax, and he's good enough so that he could be a third option. Put it this way. Somebody mentioned it yesterday. Phoenix is paying $50 million a year for their third option. Compare that with a team paying $28 million for Randle. See, Phoenix is paying $50 million a year for their third option, because that's what Beal is. He's the third option there. You got Kevin Durant and you got Devin Booker. Beal is the third option, and they're paying $50 million a year for him. So Randle's a really nice deal when you compare it, when you look at it like that. So, but decisions have been made, and we're going to find out about them starting today. You're going to start to see news today, and you're going to see a lot of movement tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of movement tomorrow in the draft. And the reason is because a lot of teams are like the Knicks. They don't really need no young players. Okay? Teams that are on the cusp of getting into the upper echelons of the conference don't need no young players, okay? Especially if they're already young. Like the Knicks are already young. They're already a young team. It'd be nice to have somebody like a Taylor Hendricks you can put in the G League and have him being groomed while you're making your run to the ECF. But more teams are really looking to add veteran help to get them to that next level. See, so like Milwaukee ain't looking for no rookies, although Milwaukee will be a good candidate. Boston definitely is not. Philly is not. Cleveland is not. You see, they're looking for veteran help that could bring them up to the upper echelon of the conference. Miami is not looking for no rookies. See, so that's what I'm saying. The Knicks are not looking for rookies. You got a lot of teams in that position. Right now, Memphis is a young team, but they're not looking for more rookies. They're looking for somebody to help them get next level. Same with the Denver Nuggets. Same with the Sacramento Kings. Same with the Phoenix Suns. They're not looking for rookies. So any of these teams that have draft capital right now, it's not really going to be used to draft a player that they got to pay first round money for. They're looking for a second rounder, somebody that they can get undrafted, that they can develop. All of these teams, including the Knicks, are looking for that. Okay, if they get a top pick and they're not a lottery team, they'll probably be looking to deal that. Okay, to try to get veteran help, like Portland talking about dealing a third pick. See, so that's the kind of thing we're talking about. That's the unusual thing with the Portland and again with New Orleans. I just can't believe they're talking about trading Zion Williamson. That's still hard for me to grasp. I cannot understand David Griffin doing that, except Williamson is pulling "I don't want to play for you" type game because they're not in a position where they need to rebuild. But if they got a rookie point guard, they're rebuilding. So I don't know, and it makes no sense to me. But that's them. It's not us. For the Knicks, like I said, we'll find out today. It's going to be a very big day today and tomorrow. We're going to find out what some of the decisions that are made. Only decision I know is there's no movement going to happen on R.J. Barrett today. I would be surprised. It's going to be after July 1st for R.J. Barrett. But the other three, Obi, Randle, IQ, anything could happen. And starting today, anything could happen. Hartenstein, depending. If they get a KP, Hartenstein might be on the move. We'll see what happens. This is going to be very important. But the Knicks are not going to overhaul their roster. 2 of the 4. That's it. Okay, and then possibly Hartenstein. So if they were to move Obi, let's say they moved Obi and IQ. Well, now all you Nas Reed fans out there, your boy will be in play because they're going to need some bench support. Okay, if they were to get KP and they moved, let's say Obi, or no, they moved IQ and Hartenstein for KP with Fournier. Well, now you're going to need again a power forward on the bench. Now you're going to have Mitch Rob come in there. You're going to need a power forward there. So that's going to determine. But that all is determined on which 2 of these 4 are out. That's really the key here. Which 2 of these 4 are out, and it's only 2 of them. We don't know. Right now, the only one as of this week is not going anywhere is RJ. Other than that, the other 3 are available. Decisions have been made. We're about to see them in the next 24 to 48 hours. Stay cool, Knicks Nation. Shalom.